Hello, 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 and welcome to another one line of code. I am one line. Hold on 1 second. Someone decided to start chatting to me from work like 3 minutes ago. I'm like, can we have a quick 5-minute talk? Like, I'm gonna be unavailable that time. Moment we don't do anything. And for using it to get other what is it called? Yeah, it's a really nice background. What is it called when you, never mind, advisories. Okay, probably gonna be writing back and forth with this person for a little bit. I don't know why they had to wait until 10:26 to do that. It's so annoying. Stop typing. Okay. I got quiet. It's Friday, by the way. It's Community Day. We'll get started soon-ish. Sorry for cursing again. I keep saying that S word, but I don't know why I couldn't just wait or do it earlier. The support. Be right. Oh my goodness. You give him an inch, you know? Oh my. Okay, hello and welcome to another One Lion of Code. I am One Lion. Apparently I'm a DJ. Actually the DJ is a certain fairy who put together a playlist for us, and really extremely grateful for that. So yeah, happy Friday. It's Community Day. We are going to be having our community call. Can I call it a community call? Anyway, it is a time when I invite you, the community and viewers of the channel, to Discord to use your live voice. Just keep in mind that I usually post recordings of my streams to YouTube or permanent residence in my YouTube account. So if you aren't comfortable with that, then you can still participate in Community Day by using chat directly. Otherwise, I will have the stream room open. Not really open, but open. Just hop into any of the voice channels on Discord and I'll pull you into the stream room. Just let me know that you're in one of the voice channels, and then I'll do that. But other than that, there aren't too many things that I have on my agenda. I thought it was going to be a lot easier, like especially today. This past week was pretty nice. Last week was a little bit more busy than I expected it to be. But this week was really nice, and then suddenly today I get thrown off by getting contacted in Teams 5 minutes before starting the stream, and now I'm kind of like, where am I? What do I do? How do I do this? Hello, Thindle. Welcome in. I hope you're having a great day today. If you guys don't know Thindle is a fantastic friend of our community, and we are a friend of his community. He streams on Tuesdays. And is awesome. Yeah, exactly. So he does .NET development, mostly modernization efforts of legacy code, or I call it legacy code, but just .NET Framework to .NET Core, etc. He's looking for a new slot because of the ASP.NET stand-up. Yeah, I'm sure they made a cognizant a decision, a thought out decision to schedule it during your time. He's also the creator of Nodocs, which is a really cool Visual Studio extension. I use it. And if you do any kind of presenting, I recommend that you use it in Visual Studio. It does this really cool thing where in any JSON or XML file, it will hide your values by default, mask them out. And it also masks out comments, which is what you saw there. This is a comment. You could see that it was actually going to write it there. So right now I have this commented out. So it just hides the whole file. And if for some reason the file is malformatted, then it'll just mask the entire file, which is the safest approach, which is awesome. So super cool. And he has a presentation in 2 weeks. He's horribly unprepared, but you can do it. Both Dukasoft and I believe in you, and that's all you need. That is all. You don't even need to believe in yourself. Believe in the me that believes in you. Okay. Anyway, I got really excited over the past week, though, about a whole bunch of C# 12 changes that were mentioned by Mads. He also did a talk on, I don't exactly know which show it was. I forget the names of a lot of the .NET related shows, but he was there with, oh man, I can't even think of her name. Did you post it to YouTube's? Anyway, it was on the Visual Studio Twitch and YouTube channels. and they were just answering questions about C# 12. The first question that came up was about using this thing called discrete unions, which is essentially like in TypeScript or in functional programming languages. You can say that this type can take on any of these specific types, and then you can add them into lists and whatever else. And they had a really long discussion about that. And yeah, it was just a really good conversation. But the one that I watched first was the one that he did on NDC Copenhagen, which is this one. Or Copenhagen Dev Fest, I guess is what it's called. We did that in C because memory was hella expensive. But yeah, I was 100% a parameter when they decided on their new time slot. Yeah, absolutely. You're going to be lurking and reacting. Totally okay. I mean, you can come out of lurk as often as you feel like it. You can stay in lurk for the whole time if you want. Glad to have your energy here. It was the guy from .NET Rocks, but I don't think it was that show. No, that's not the one that I'm talking about. The one that I'm talking about, I can't. I should know her name by now. I watch everything with her in it. Kathleen. Oh man, such an easy name to remember because she looks like a Kathleen. She's really cool. This isn't the talk. I can't find the talk, but it was her and Mads, and they were just answering questions. She's so cool. Oh yeah. Let's read off all of the jokes that we've gotten so far for free from Dukasoft's bot. So the very first one, even before the stream started, bought a new jacket suit the other day, and it burst into flames. Well, it was a Blazor. I don't like that one as much. Next one. They say Dodger Stadium can hold up to 56,000 people, but that is just a ballpark figure. Ha! That one made more sense to me. Wait, I think. And then this most recent one. What do you call a cow on a trampoline? Milkshake? Hi, Mojo. That one doesn't sit well with me. It seems a bit goopy. All right. So Thendel says, I don't see the point now. If you want that, just use an object or an array list. Array list? Why would you ever use an array list or an object? So one thing that I was thinking about while they were talking about that is like the main point that Mads was making, which is that C# was going with inheritance as the main feature on how you extend, on how you interact with objects. And that's really cool. What would be even more cool is the approach that C# could take for doing something like discrete unions, which again, this is the first time I'm telling you. I am not super familiar with discrete unions, but I understand the concept based off of, or I think I understand the concept based off of what they talked about. But what would be cool is if, let's say you were just taking this library from some external source, and you know that that library has its own inheritance chain, it has its own base class and everything like that. What if, and this is a big what if, not for me, I think there's a lot of really cool stuff going on. What if you could extend a class to say that that class implements one of your own interfaces? Like your own app has an interface, and maybe it's just a dummy placeholder interface. Public interface iDummy placeholder. And this way, you can essentially have a discrete union by saying, I now have a list of iDummy placeholders. List. And so anything that you put inside of this list could be your concrete classes or anything else that you put into this dummy placeholder bag, essentially. So this is anything that implements an iDummy placeholder, which is essentially saying whatever object in this list I provide can be one of this class or this class or this class. And I think that's how discrete unions work. If I'm understanding it correctly, I could be completely misunderstanding it because I was also doing a lot of other research on the side for other fun things or things that I find fun, at least. I don't know how they work in C, so I don't know what all of the ins and outs are, but it sounded like the basic description of it was like, for example, in TypeScript. Let's go to this file. Shouldn't have clicked on that one. Why is that one even open? Element could be a HTML element or a string or something else. Yeah, okay. So it definitely is what I was thinking based off of Bindle's really quick example, where you say it's when we get an instance of this, it's going to be one of these specific things that I identify here. Therefore, treat it like that. So if I'm trying to compare a string to an integer to a string, then break. Then explode, because integer is an integer and not a string. So you won't know the concrete type until runtime. But you will know that it is one of these types, which is cool. So I like that. I don't mind that. But yeah. There isn't much hate going on this channel at all, Mojo. I mean, there may be opinions about something not being great, but not really hate. Okay, so that's what I got. The other thing that I was doing today specifically is reviewing this video from Patrick God that just came out not too long ago, where he is he's kind of reacting. I'm sure this was already a planned video that he had. He wanted to talk about the Blazor, the .NET 8 features for Blazor, which is awesome. I love listening to him talk about this. It's so cool. He's such a really cool character. But anyway, it's almost also a reaction video to the community call that was on Tuesday, the one that Thindle was saying is kind of stepping on his toes. But they pointed him out during that call. I mean, they don't have to. You could... Sorry, I interrupted myself. Mojo said, fair, they've been impressing me recently, grumble, grumble. They don't, like... You can be mixed about it. You don't have to be wholly one way, wholly the other way. I'm all in because I've really been impressed by a lot of the stuff, but there are still things that I gripe about. Like right now, I'm having a really tough time with hot reload being consistent. I know we had a lot of issues with that when we were running the app through Visual Studio, either using full debug or run without debug attached. But I got around that by using .NET Watch, and it seemed to be working seamlessly and flawlessly until like maybe 3 Visual Studio updates ago. So it was probably right around the MS build time. So I have my gripes. I've also forgotten how drinking water works. I thought you're supposed to inhale it and make it go into your lungs. At least it wasn't that bad. So, did I miss any of the other words that came on screen? Some encouragement from Dukasoft to Thindle for his presentation. That'll be in 2 weeks. Saw that. Got a free dad joke. Yeah, seriously. And hello, Diedrich. I haven't fully read your Discord stuff because it seemed like you got some good responses to it. But if there is anything that you want to bring up and discuss, today is a great day to do that. You can do that either through chat or directly on the voice channel. Today is Community Day. Probably should just read through it real quick. So you had 2 conversations going, one in non-code help and one in JavaScript help. Help is what I said. Like I said, no hating here. Oh, just how to get started stuff. Yeah. But yeah, I'm glad to see that you were able to get some good responses. And then we also got a message in Discord saying that Peter isn't going to be here today, or at least not actively. He may lurk, he may say a couple of things on occasion, or chat a couple of things. But there is never any pressure or obligation for any of you to do anything at all, ever. I am just really glad when you show up and say stuff, because your energy is not even say stuff, when you're here and you share your energy with us is what I'm trying to say. It's really nice. Thank you for that. All right. So other than that, yeah, again, I really don't have too much other than just restating the things that were really cool to me in that C# 12 new features, new information video. We can maybe go through it and I can explain it in my words, but that doesn't sound very fun. But there were some cool stuff like putting the constructor in the class declaration the way that you can do with records. Yeah. So this creates a new object that has a name property and an age property. You can initialize it by saying new and then providing the string and age. So moving that into classes was really cool. The feature that I am most excited about is being able to extend methods, properties, or not. Is it extend? Yeah, do extensions on classes for methods and properties, as well as adding static methods to classes by using extensions. So if you don't know about extensions, the way you can extend just about anything is you create a static class named whatever extensions. You don't even need to use the word extensions. It's just easier for me to remember what it's for. Like, I guess, response model extensions, for example. And then you create a whole bunch of public static whatever return type. And then the way that you know that it's an extension is 1, it's in a static class, 2, the method is static, and 3, it has the this keyword as the first parameter. So now anywhere that I use my response model bases, when I have a new instance of it, I always do that. I hold shift down for half a second too long. Var new model equals response model base. Now I can do new model dot add error as an extension method. Even though add error is already a normal method here. Whatever. Add error go, just so that you can see something different. Bool go. G. It sounds tasty right now. Why am I thinking about food? So anyway, now you can see add error go as an actual method. You know that it's the extension method because if I push control spacebar, then it has this little icon here that says I'm an extension, even though it looks like a spider. Ugh. Why does it look like a spider? Anyway, fun times. So that would be cool. Being able to add methods to classes, being able to add static methods to classes. Man, what was I watching? I was watching a behind the brand, I think, for Lucid Motors. And one of the engineers said this really cool phrase that I loved, and I want to keep it. So when you are doing just about anything, don't just copy things. So respect the approach that someone else takes. So for example, I use this kind of hybrid service-ish type approach where all of my do stuff on the server, all of my client activity stuff, they're in these shared libraries. I call them services. They do whatever the functionality is from the client or server side that I'm looking for. So on my client side and my account services, I do HTTP requests. On my server side for account services, I do database lookups, file system stuff, anything to do with the server side of stuff. So I if you have been watching and you want to adopt that, that's cool, but you can also make it your own. So respect the approach that I took, but don't just copy it. Like, if it doesn't make sense to use it exactly the way that I put it together, then modify it. Make it yours. Exactly. Cartman. That's yeah. I don't even watch South Park. But there are some things that just even the most sheltered people know. I don't just copy it because I don't understand half of it. Says Dugasoft. Diedrich said, it's weird that colleges teach you how to code and so on, but no pre-production and post-production stuff. I mean, yeah, it is weird, but at the same time, that's because it's all magic and nobody knows how it truly works. At the same time, they're teaching you, at least I think, I haven't been to university or taken any formal education courses in a really, really long time, but they're teaching you modern technology. They're teaching you basic principles. They're teaching you rudiments. So that it can be implementation agnostic, essentially. So they teach you the theory behind it and not really the practice of it. That way, when you do get out of university, regardless of what state technology is in, you have that foundation so that when you do join a company that does things in practice, then you'll be like, oh, well, I can apply this rudimentary knowledge to the approach that you guys are actually taking. stuff like that. That's my thought. Kind of seems like a good-ish approach, but it's also their way. No, not going to go into that opinion because that is just an opinion. Has to do with, formal education institutions just being another capitalist thing. That's all. Whoosh. Buttons. So Mojo said to Diedrich, that's because it's I already read this. That's because it's all magic and nobody knows how it truly works. Then Diedrich responded, it seems like I didn't get the Hogwarts package, damn it. Mojo said the owls get lost every now and then. We'll send another one out. And Mojo said, I think the official answer is it changes too much to teach. I mean, that could be, but to me, it's more. Yeah. I'm dropping that. Diedrich then said, you can still buy Java scrolls and use it in modern Java. Yeah. Yeah, that kind of thing. So like if we teach you the foundations and fundamentals, but the other thing that I see happening is because of how often technology has changed, the industry, the entire technology industry is littered with organizations that use the oldest technology and organizations that use the newest technology and some mix of all of that somewhere in between. And hello, Made King 2006 06 2K06. Or is it Mad E King? I am doing fantastic. How are you on this wonderful Friday? It's Community Day here on our stream. If you don't know what that is, I open up our Discord voice channel, Discord, to our wonderful community for anyone that might have something that they feel like discussing that is technology related or .NET related specifically. I'm currently talking about some of the fun things that are coming up in C# 12 or might be coming up in C# 12. I got through most of it, so I don't really know what to talk about anymore. So I'm just leaving that up to you, whatever you feel like discussing. And right now we're talking about the way that technology has changed and the way that universities, they really don't teach you about how to do all of the pre-production and post-production stuff. How do you deploy an application to the cloud? And again, I've been out of formal education since about 2009. So I don't really know what the curriculum is like, other than most likely still has the basics of here's the fundamentals of object-oriented programming, here's how you do logic, here's how you do algorithms, here's how you do design. But because, and this is another opinion, because a lot of our industry is all over the place when it comes to what stage of technology, how advanced, how current is the technology being used, it would be really, really hard to develop a curriculum that says, well, if you are using legacy applications and you have an on-premises solution, then this is how you prepare your files to be deployed to those services. Or if you have a cloud service, then here are your options for what cloud services to use. And here's how you prepare, again, that legacy code to be deployed. Or here's a desktop app that you need to somehow publish somewhere so that it gets downloaded. So there are just way too many variables to be able to develop a curriculum around that. Versus programming languages, which is here's the base patterns that you can follow for just about any object-oriented programming, but there's also this thing called functional programming. And there's like a smaller set of concepts that are more translatable to the wide variety of technologies. So how's that? Ah, yes, the ever perpetual question. And yes, it is Friday the 13th. In October, even. That makes it extremely scary, I guess. Kind of feels like any other day to me, though. Look at what I'm doing for how to get from local slash VM to platform as a service. Yeah, exactly. So, how do you make a curriculum to teach what Thindle is doing? Like, it would have to be a dedicated study, essentially. And Ham Taro, Ham Reborn, hello to you as well, said, I always took my education, bachelor's in computer science, as they're teaching me how to solve a problem with code and how that code works and what that code is doing under the hood and how the systems under the hood allow the code to do the thing it is doing. Any software engineer stuff is outside of that realm, the realm of that. Oh, I'm sorry I butchered your statement, but it's a very good statement. That for me, my takeaway from university was here's how you persevere. Here's a situation in which there's all of this superfluous stuff that you don't really need, but you have to do in order to accomplish the goal of graduating, of getting that degree. So stick with it, get it done. That's kind of really all I got. I mean, I did get the foundations of software development because I didn't do any official software development type stuff until my freshman year of university, where everyone else in my class had been doing it since they were 12, 13, 14. And so I felt really behind. But still made it through, still persevered. Thindle said, have it all on Tuesdays. Yeah. Tuesday for the rest of your life. Tuesdays for the rest of, I guess, Thindle's life. Or Thindle 101. Diedrich said, well, it sticks. Probably sucks to be a desktop support technician. Every 2 years you have to be recertified, which is harsh on the wallet. The thing that I have to do with, so I work for a company called Sagetti, and it's a consulting firm, and any views and opinions that I express on this channel are my own views and opinions. It may not necessarily be the views and opinions of Sagetti. But anyway, they have a thing where they want their consultants to be certified every year. So get a new certification every year, essentially. And they want 100% certification across the board. So all of their consultants essentially have to shell out or somehow find a way to get a new certification exam every year. So for me, what I've been doing is MS Build usually has a thing called the Cloud Skills Challenge. MS Build Cloud Challenge, where if you complete the challenge during MS Build, they give you a free certification exam, and certification exams range anywhere from like $70 to $150. So, I mean, you still have to take and pass the exam, but they at least give you that voucher to be able to take one of their certifications. So if you aren't aware of that, definitely check them out next March or whenever they're going to hold their next MS Build, because it is, I've already used it twice, and so I have the AZ200 and the AI 900. And the cool thing about Azure certifications is as long as you take and pass the renewal certification within 60 days of your current certification expiring, it's either 30 or 60 or 90. Anyway, it's free to recertify. Yeah. I'm kind of used to saying it now. Thank you so much for the follow, Made King. Do you just want me to call you King? Or do you want me to call you Made? Or do you want me to call you 2K06 or 06? Or anyway, you don't have to answer if you don't feel like. Made King said, so I have a question. As a high school programmer that is going to join college, is it true that real programmer only code in VM? Oh, such a good question. I will tell you that only elite coders code in Vim. Did I say VM? I meant Vim. So if you're essentially asking what my opinion is on using Vim, does it make you cooler? Does it make you a better coder? I don't care about any of that. The thing that I care about is you as an individual developer or as part of a team. Well, we'll get to the team in a second. You as an individual developer, use the tools that make you more effective. For me, that's using the full Visual Studio experience, not Visual Studio Code, not Vim, not JetBrains, not anything else. Because I've gotten really, really used to using Visual Studio. That's not to say I won't use other tools. I may pick up another tool and eventually get better at that and find out that it works better for me. But anything else outside of utility is just status. It's saying I can do that. So if you are a faster coder using Vim, because I hear that people that are really good with Vim can just fly through it and code faster, then awesome. Vim is the tool for you. Otherwise, there is nothing wrong with using Notepad. There's nothing wrong with using Visual Studio proper or Visual Studio Code or JetBrains or whatever the other one is called that I can't think of. As far as .NET development, I should say. Because there's obviously other IDEs for other languages, Xcode, Eclipse, the end one I can't think of. Yeah, exactly. RGB mouse gives you +2 coolness factor, but -10 concentration. There's an MMO, or at least RPG player. Don't forget RGB in your computer gives you extra 5. It gives you 5 extra frames per second. Wait, does it though? My code editor is a research lab with flip switch computers. Exactly. Yeah, the code editor is kind of your home. True. Like I live inside of Visual Studio so much, but I've also picked up the tools for using Git, of course. So even using, like, if you have a subscription to it, you could use Thindle, help me out. What's the name of the built-in editor in GitHub? Code Spaces. Thank you so much. You sent it to me right as you hit enter. I was like, I got it. You can use Code Spaces if you wanted, but also the tools of Azure DevOps, being able to create pipelines, being able to manage your repos, do all of your work items there. Yeah, it's pretty much VS Code in the browser. True. What am I missing? I'm missing a lot of stuff now. You say that disclaimer line like Law and Order cops. Heck yeah. Adam. Did Adam die? That's kind of sad. Like there was this whole back and forth between the JavaScript developers that I used to watch, saying Adam's better. No, Sublime is better. No, Adam is better. No, Sublime. And it's like, oh no, Adam just got this feature, which makes it a million times better and more responsive. No, Sublime just stopped eating up so much resources, so it got better. And now it's better than, yeah. Which works because VS Code is JavaScript inside of Electron. I don't know. I don't know how it's put together. Hello, do so. I like VS Code. I don't have enough power to run the deluxe cool Visual Studio. The thing that I find baffling is that Visual Studio Community is free. Like, it has so many features, so much functionality, and they give it all to you for free. You know, granted, you aren't using it for production grade software and your company makes under a certain amount of money and you have X number of employees or less. But still, it is insane. Yeah, it's exactly what Thindle just wrote out too. These days, community equals pro, 100% same feature set. I don't know if it's 100% parity, but it feels like it. And the only difference is licensing. VS is so heavy, storage-wise, truth. Yeah, if you're going to be a .NET developer, you're typically looking at needing at least a 4 terabyte solid state hard drive just for your repos, just for your projects. That's overkill, and that's an exaggeration, but that's what it feels like. My work laptop is a 2 terabyte, and that's already almost full. And we only have one project. Writer is much lighter, but costs a lot of money. And the other thing that I don't like about Visual Studio is that they still do have a lot of memory leaks. So I've left Visual Studio open in the same project for 3 days even, maybe even less. And my RAM usage is like, here's 4 gigabytes of RAM being used by Visual Studio. It's like, do you really need that much? Since it's 64-bit, it can use as much as it wants. It's just it's not releasing it when it's supposed to. So I have to often just close out of Visual Studio, which I've been making a habit of. Like after the stream, I'll just close out of the stream project. Yeah, and Ham just mentioned that too. I probably read what you wrote, Ham, before I mentioned that Visual Studio is now 64-bit. And subconsciously, subliminally. Random humble brag, not humble at all. This is what mine looks like. Let me see if it's even safe to show my Explorer. Let's go here. Boosh. Oh yeah, I forgot. I did get a new system drive. That's a 4 terabyte M2 stick. But I have 1.7 terabytes free of that. I have 224 gigabytes free on my solid state internal. I have 396 on an external spinny disk, 1.45 on a solid state external. I have a 10 terabyte external spinny disk that I use for backups. That's almost full. Yeah, lots of space taken up with, like, the one that's killing most of my hard drive space now are Unity projects, since I'm trying to do a lot of tutorials. And anytime that you add the MRTK to a Unity project, it goes from like the standard, I don't know what it is by standard, 300 and something megabyte project to 2 gigabyte project, just by adding the MRTK. It's crazy. So C and E are Gen 4 M2s. This one's E. They're both 1 terabyte. D is a RAID 1 on 2.5 SATA. And P is a RAID 0 on 2 4 terabyte spinny. And then, of course, media servers, internal media servers, internal file storage, NAS, all of it. Tasty stuff. Okay, Maid King said I first installed Visual Studio on my old laptops and my RAM had a cancer because of memory leaks. No jokes. I honestly do not doubt that. Not one bit. I missed this from Duso. He said, to be honest, I haven't heard much about Atom and Sublime outside of when I first started looking into getting into software dev. Me too. And this was like 2013, 2014 when I was trying to get my actual first software engineer position. So I went to university from 2000 to 2009 with a bunch of failing and then half-time, working full-time, losing sleep, getting addicted to alcohol, bunch of crazy stuff. And then after I graduated, I stayed working with the federal service for way too long. I worked for them for almost 15 years total by the time I got my first software development job. Even though I was doing software development for them, it was just in an HR office, so they didn't really treat me like a software developer. And there was a lot of new word that I recently learned the meaning of, even though it's not a new word. I'm sure many of you already know. Anyway, dysphoria. Lots and lots of dysphoria. Because here I am working this secure, cush, whatever the word is, job that I didn't have to worry too much about making an okay amount of money, but just completely discontent and feeling worthless. And it's bad. IntelliJ was the other one that I was trying to think of. Thank you, Duso. Anyway, to finish Duso's comment, now that I'm in the industry, VS Code is what most people use because it's so versatile. It is absolutely so versatile, and it's an awesome product. But again, the point that we were trying to make with this at the very beginning is use the tool that you find to be the best for what you are doing. Oh, and I never got around to the second one, which is on a team, use whatever tool they tell you to. Whatever tool you like, if it's an existing team, use the tool that they are already using. Bring up, hey, here's a better tool. Maybe you guys want to use this one. They'll most likely be like, no, just use what we've been using this whole time. If you're going on a new team, then have that discussion. What are we going to use? Like the cool thing with .NET projects is you can use VS Code or Visual Studio and still succeed on the same team as someone using the opposite of you. Can't speak to other industries. Like I'm jumping around all over the place in chat. I like VS Code. I don't have enough power to run deluxe cool Visual Studio with that. Diedrich said to Thindle, wait, if I use 2008, I need to learn caveman drawings or hieroglyphics. Yes. Less than 5 seats, less than 2 million USD is the licensing. Dang, it's up to 2 million now. Like when I first was looking at whether I needed to get a licensed copy of Visual Studio, I think it was 100,000. But that could be... No, that's just what I'm remembering. I could be way off, but that's what my brain is telling me. Another Duso comment that said, outside VS Code, Visual Studio, and some of the IntelliJ IDEs, I haven't heard about anything else but Emacs or Vim. Yeah. I used Kate when I was doing Java development. Actually, I think it was just an editor, so you could do any programming language in it, and then you still had to run your own compiler. So Java W and GCC, for example. Cookies, donuts. Ham said, I do all my .NET dev on Linux for personal projects, and it definitely takes up much less space. Writer plus SDKs plus projects is all very light. That's nice. That must be nice. I bet you it's super fast too, super responsive. Duso said, I'm in the middle of convincing my wife that I need a MVP MacBook Pro to learn Apple dev ecosystem. I was considering just to have something Apple, because like my wife used to have an Apple phone and eventually switched to Android because it's better. opinion. And so we don't have any iOS devices, and I was wanting to try Maui to see how it deploys to iOS as well, but we don't have a way to do that. So I was thinking of buying the little mini workstation thing, but I've been told don't do that. It's not worth it. But it's like I won't be using it to do any actual development on. I just need it so that I can say I have an Apple device so that I can get licensed to be able to develop and deploy to iOS. I have a 2 terabyte mechanical hard drive, if that even counts. Kinda. I mean, it still stores things. Thindle said to Dugasoft, do you need to read all the things yesterday? Honestly, SATA is enough for most use cases. Did you mean... Oh, Dugasoft said, I don't even have one M2. I need an upgrade. It's crazy. I didn't realize, but my motherboard had a space for 2 M2s. So, yeah. There's that. I have no idea what that means, but it has space for them. It's just, it's also weird because one of them is positioned under the heatsink for the video card. So I'm like, I don't know if I really want to put anything there. And Thindle said to Diedrich, it counts. You're awesome. I just spend money to try and make myself happy. I spend money when I'm in stress. Yeah. Otherwise, I rarely spend much money. I remember you worrying a bit when you were leaving the arsenal. Yeah. Oh my gosh, I was so scared. I'm like, I know how to do this job at the arsenal because I'm essentially a solo developer. I had a junior developer with me, but I was solo developer making all the decisions for how the apps get done. And I was going to a consulting firm that would just throw me at whatever project they needed me to be on. I'd be working with a team of other people that were already established. I'd have a project manager, senior developers that were more senior than me, potentially a junior developer. And gosh, when I started there, it was weird because I was working essentially on my own team. Even though I was part of this pre-existing team, my end role was to modernize the user interface for the existing app based off of a design that someone else came up with using Blazor on top of that. So I'm like, okay, I will mock it out, create my own Blazor project, mocked out what the UI should look like. And then they're like, okay, well, we see that you have the skill to be able to do that. Do you know how to integrate it? I'm like, yeah, sure. Point me to the repo, give me access to it. So then I started doing that, and then I got brought on to meet with everyone else on the team as I was trying to wire up all of the UI to the back end that pre-existed. And oh, it felt so rocky. Yeah, I am too though, Thindle. I still feel jaded, I guess, by corporate work. So working for a Sogeti, how do I say this? Sogeti is part of a much larger corporation, Capgemini. Many of you have probably heard of them, but Sogeti USA is like 20 something hundred people, and Capgemini as a whole is 300,000. So we're just a cog in the system. And then I'm just barely a spoke on that cog. So I'm like nothing. If I break, replace me. That's how I get treated. That's how it feels like I get treated, which is not to say it's a bad thing, because that also means that I am not bothered too much but I am. We get so many emails that are like, why are you sending this? Why do I need 6 reminders on the same day to complete my performance appraisal, my self appraisal? And then of course all of these things where they're like, hey, can you interview this new grad? Can you interview this person that's coming in as a junior developer? It's like, no, I really don't want to, but you kind of feel like you can't say no because you're supposed to be performing at a certain level and you are employed by that company. And so it's something that an authority person is saying, yeah, you need to do this, even though it's in the form of a question when it's really not. So that's really stressful. And then, of course, as with any corporation, here's all of your mandatory yearly trainings. Here's all of your password expiring. Here's this system is going to be down for X amount of time. It's like, just let me do the actual client work. That's what I want to do. Because it's fun. The job I do is a lot of fun. The actual work. Catching up on chat. Remember you worrying a bit about leaving the arsenal? Yep. Digasoft said, in response to, do you need to read all the things yesterday? Sad is enough for most use cases. Digasoft's response is, yeah, I know, but I don't think they make RGB discs, so I'll have to go with speed to look cool. I think they do. They might actually make RGB discs. Just because, like, you know the little blinky light for your hard drive? Which is now a solid state drive, I guess, or SATA drive for you. You could probably make that into an RGB LED. And Thindle said, sounds like a hole in the market. You should fill it. Start selling random M2 drives with some RGB LEDs soldered onto it. Yeah, awesome. Chat is everywhere, so it could be 2M SEK. That'd be 2. Oh, I don't know what SEK stands for. Swedish krones. So it'd be about 200K US. So I may be way off. I really don't know where that one is. Oh, the amount. The amount for the license. Okay, President Not Sure is here. Hello, President Not Sure. I saw a slightly older version available at 14,000 when I last looked. For license? Is that the conversation that you're on, or did we talk about something else monetary? Thindle is, Zelda is snoring again. I was going to say, Thindle is snoring again. Thindle said Zelda is snoring again. I bet you it's kawaii, though. I love cats. Ham says, VS costs used to be astronomical for single small dev teams that needed pro features. Yeah. Yes. Hello, Frankly Gamer. That's one of my favorite sounds. I love that one so much. Pricing is much more sane now. That's cool. VS Enterprise is about 5,000 per year, but there's a very small subset of users that need Enterprise. Yeah, I don't know about small subset. It's pretty much every bank that does a .NET thing. I will eventually mute those if you go on for too long. It is a little bit disruptive.
I got a bad feeling about this.
I know you're just trying to use points because I don't really have any interactive stuff, which I'm sorry about. Am I sorry though? Because if I was sorry, I would be doing something about it. One day I will. One day I will. Java from Oracle isn't that cheap either, especially now. Like, they changed their licensing model. So I don't know what it is because I haven't needed to use Java. Man, that's crazy. At least the news sounded crazy. Where are we? So Thindle said to Diedrich, it's so they can bankroll all the lawsuits. And then Ham said, Android gang, rise up. I actually have an app that I worked on for Android that never got finished. And it was a lot of fun to do, but I actually programmed it on my phone. So, like, when I was working at the Rocky Mountain Arsenal, which is what Thindle was mentioning earlier, we had lots of meetings, lots of in-person meetings. So during them, I used Android IDE. Hello? Of course, you're not going to actually display the screen. But anyway, it's an actual IDE for making Java applications, making Android applications on your phone. It connects to Git. It uses whatever the name of the build tool is that I can't think of. Been such a long time, but yeah, I made the phone. I made the app on my phone. It was fun. All right, Thindle. Enjoy your lurkage. I'll read your full message when I get done there. President Usher said, you can use Hot Restart to plug an iOS device right into your Windows machine. Yeah, exactly. But I need an iOS device to be able to do it. A Mac Mini can be good. Oh, it can be. That's cool. And it allows you to do basic dev stuff without a Mac. Yeah. But that's the thing. I don't have an iOS device. I don't have a Mac. Anything. So that's why I was like, maybe if I get a Mac Mini, then I could use Xcode. But now I can just do .NET Dev using a Maui project and deploy to iOS, target iOS. Diedrich said to Thindle, maybe I should add an African video in my project and maybe score discounts. For Oracle stuff? I don't understand it. Jesus said to President, not sure. One. I never actually realized the one on your name. Is that new or has that always been there? Are you able to build and deploy the project to the iPhone if directly plugged in? Yes. Yeah, you don't even have to be plugged in either. You could do it over the air, I believe. Interesting. Going to look into this. And Diedrich said to do so if you use Expo, if I'm not mistaken. But you can't do that with an app that has custom entitlements or much of anything beyond a basic app. You can learn a lot with just that, though. Yeah, so I'm thinking specifically about the stuff that I've seen with Maui and the demos that they've done in MS Build and the previous .NET Conf with Maui and a few videos in between. But I remember the person's phone not being plugged in to the machine and they deployed to it and they mirrored it. And then Thindle said to do so and President not sure. I'm 75% certain that if you build your app with Maui, the only thing you need is a Mac, or you need a Mac for, is to sign the release to get it on the App Store. I didn't even think you could actually target your build. That would be interesting to find out. So right now you can see that I have Net 7 iOS and Mac Catalyst commented out from my build targets. So if we tried to build Maui project, targeting those, I'm interested to see what will happen. While that's happening, I will continue reading through Chiet. Or anything beyond a rather basic app. What dev isn't jaded over time, though? Ruth. This is absolutely true. I just hope that even through my jadedness, I can still continue to do the best job that I can. Like the devs that I work with on my team are at that point where they're like, I don't want to deal with this corporate BS anymore. We're going to be doing things like this because it's the way that I want to do it. No one's going to push me around anymore. I don't ever want to get to that point. I always want to feel like I'm working with the team that I'm a part of, regardless of how I've been treated in the past or how the client is currently treating me. The thing that I hope to improve on is to not be a doormat, but still respectful. Be able to say no in a respectful way, or be able to say, yes, I will do that. Ask that you're saying, however, here's the trade-off. Do you want this other thing that you asked me to do completed first? Or that's going to delay it by this amount of time if I make that the priority? And that has worked out really well. Like, I've gotten positive feedback from the client, and it's been a good relationship so far. I can't do this at work, for example, because our app has custom entitlements. I don't know what custom entitlements are. Wow. Did this actually build the Maui app? Yes, it did. Huh. So I guess the other question that I have is, oh, that's what it is. To be able to see it in iOS or Mac, I can't use any kind of emulator to do so. Like, you have the Android emulator that you could use. I wouldn't be able to use any kind of Mac or iOS emulator without an actual Mac or iOS device. Thing. Target. I made words. You're a very pretty spoke though. Well, thank you. It's this mop on my head. It makes me pretty. I don't see why you can't push back on that authority. Ask why they're asking you to do management stuff like that. So it's not that I can't. It's that one of the things that happens in large corporations is that they use their assets in whatever way they can to get the most out of them. For example, doing a technical interview as opposed to having a separate team that are technical interviewers. So having internal existing senior consultants in this case do interviews. And the reason that they keep asking me to do it is because when I do them, I take them seriously. So I prepare, I write out questions that I'm going to ask the interviewee. I take notes on the interview, and then I give feedback to their recruiter as well as the feedback system as to what I think about that interviewee, and how it applies to whatever it is that they're trying to be recruited for. However, at the same time, it gives me a metric poop ton of anxiety. It uses a lot of time because I do that preparation step. I don't feel like I could just go into it and do it. And then the amount of time it takes to write my response afterwards, which again, it's my own thing. It's something that I do. And it's not something that I would want to change about myself just because I don't want to do it, because I still want to do the best job that I can, kind of thing. Thanos says, a boss asking is like a company offering unlimited vacation. You can say, no, use the vacation time, but it'll bite you. Yeah, like use as much vacation as you want, but you still have to get this stuff done. Plus, unlimited vacation equals whatever the manager feels is okay this week. Yeah, very true. Swedish krona. I was close. Is that what I said? That was just a guess out of left field. Then yes, we were talking about for a license, and now I'm keeping up with chat. Now I know where we are. You may have been looking at an enterprise license, for example. President, not sure, didn't want that noise. If I noticed that earlier, I would have just muted the sound alerts for a minute. But yeah, again, Frankly Gamer, thank you for using all of those. What are these called? channel points. Really appreciate that you have that many channel points to use. That means that you've been here for a bit, hanging out with us. Really, really appreciate your energy. Thendal asked, do you still have the Dolly image generation model thingamajig? Yes, I do. Gotta go lurky for a bit again, but if you do, please shoot me a message on Discord later. I need an adult and generate an image or two. Absolutely, I am happy to do so. If you are still listening, then you DM me first with the information about what type of image you want generated. For those of you that aren't comfortable with this, I apologize. I know that there is controversy or controversy, depending on where you're from, around using image generation software. I feel the need to defend myself on it. Like, I use it purely for entertainment and possibly getting ideas. Like, I'm writing a book. Who isn't? I'm writing a book. It is a fiction novel, fantasy oriented. So one thing that is particular about me is that I am a very visual person. So I like to see things. And if I can see it, then I can describe it. So I want to see what a lion shifter would look like. That is also an artifact. That is a shield. So I want to see images of that, and then I can write about them better. I can describe them if I need to, but I can also see tone and personality. So anyway, yes, I don't use it for, I generated this image and claim it as my own image kind of thing. It'd be like if I went to Fine Art or wherever and looked up images that way, or Google image search and looked up images using Google image search. Diedrich says, for Oracle stuff, discount on the license fees. Oh, okay. So yeah, for the Africa comment. And Tukes, hello Tukes. What do you think of Ruby on Rails framework? I don't know enough about it, but I hear that it is really easy to use. In fact, one of my colleagues that I met for the first time during one of those interviews that I was griping about was, what's the word, predominantly using Ruby on Rails, exclusively using Ruby on Rails for everything they did, and they only raved about it the way that I rave about using Blazor for everything. So it's, yeah, it's got loyal followers, loyal users. And Ham said, in response to that, still installing Gem to this day. Ruby on fails. That's terrible. I'm not there yet. I didn't read that. I just used the OpenJDK from Microsoft to get around any Oracle fees. Ham says, team I am on is kind of like that. Yeah. And Jeremiah, hi. How you doing? Said, you just need an enforcer. I do. You know me, kind of pushover when it comes to that. Ham said, we were acquired, then acquired again, and smashed together with our competitor, and we do things very differently from other teams. Ours, yeah, within our client, our team is relatively small. We have 3 devs. One of them is a junior developer. Or sorry, I guess 4 devs, but one of them is also the project manager who does dev as well. 2 senior devs, a junior dev. And then we have a test team, one of them that mostly focuses on testing the UEFI version of the app, which we don't develop. We develop the Windows desktop version of the app. And then one tester who responds to, they're called, I won't say what they're called. They're called trouble tickets, essentially. Tickets raised by users who submitted it to our support, and our support put it into the system so that we are notified of these issues that users are reporting. So he verifies that for us and then creates a DevOps work item if it's something that needs to be debugged and fixed. And then after we do the fix, he's the one that also tests to make sure that the fix works and that the rest of the app didn't break, even though we should be using automated testing first for that latter part. But oh my gosh, it's been so difficult to get the client to allow us time to do all of our automated testing writing. And the app has been around for such a long time, like over 20 years, I want to say, maybe 10 years, that it's really hard to get anything added other than what the client wants. So annoying. But still, again, the actual work itself, insanely fun. I get to do Blazor all day, every day. President Not Sure said, entitlements are pieces of functionality that you want/need in your iOS app, but you have to basically ask Apple permission to add them to your app, such as accessing local networks. Okay, so in .NET, those are called, they go in the manifest. Anyway, they're called functionality flags or something like that. And in Android, I think they're just called features or permissions. But yes, I understand now. Ham said, I just wish our CTO had not dictated that Angular would be the de facto front-end framework all teams would use. I'm glad that our client, like for them, that is true. But for our team, because we have that person that I told you about, which is one good reason to have him, one of the main reasons, main positives, I guess, of having him on the team is, look, I want to use this new technology called Blazor for our desktop app because it looks cool. Like, and I get the feeling that that's his usual thought process. This seems cool. I want to use it. Let's use it. I'll ask permission later. As opposed to, wow, that's a really cool thing. Does it work for our project? Does it work for our product? Without, actually considering that. It's just do it. I want to use it. I'm using it. The end. No questions. So anyway, they gave into that. We're using Blazor for the front end. It is nice. It is really nice. I find it extremely heavy and over-engineered. Diedrich said to Ham, I like Angular because of its structure. Yeah, and if you like that, you might also like Blazor. Ham said, I find it extremely heavy and over-engineered. I've used it for a long, long time, and there's just better stuff out there these days. It does work, but the learning curve is very steep, especially if you're not familiar with RxJS, as well as including, but not limited to, as Irish John would say, the difference between Angular and Angular 2 being like pretty big, so I've heard. And especially for apps where they are, again, somewhere in the middle of migrating or changing over, or you've learned Angular, used it 10 plus years ago, and you're trying to get a job now, and they're like, we need Angular experience. And you're like, hey, I used that before. They're like, have you used Angular 2? You're like, no, really? Well, they've completely revamped the binding system, and it's like, oh, okay. Maybe I haven't. Maybe I don't know Angular. Well, Diedrich said to him, well, I find React to be like managing a nuclear reactor, and it confuses me. I agree Angular has steeper learning curve, but it's easier to navigate a project. Cool. Ham said, I am not a huge fan of React either. Vue is great though, and I don't know too much about Vue. And now I'm at the President Not Sure comment about Ruby on Fails that I didn't see earlier. Angular, go fish. Terrible. Then Diedrich said back, I don't know much about Vue, seen some of it here and there, but not a lot. Ham said definitely give it a try if it interests you. I don't like front-end web dev in general, but Vue is less garbage than other frameworks I've used over the years. That's how I feel about Blazor, but I haven't used any other frameworks. I'm only comparing Blazor to the MVC project and Razor Pages project and Web Pages projects from .NET. And then seeing other people use React and only React. I haven't watched any Angular developers. Yeah, I've only ever seen a React developer doing live coding. So I'm very biased with not enough information to make good decisions about whether I would really enjoy a JavaScript framework, but I just know that I am absolutely in love with Blazor. It's so much fun. Duso said, that sounds kind of like my team. 4 devs, 1 junior and 3 seniors. But the testing side wears a bunch of hats and are non-technical, testers, designers, product trainers. Yeah, and it's kind of sad for our team because we could really use one UX UI designer and then we would be set. But none of us on the team are really all that in tune with what good UI design is. I would say that I am better at it than the rest of the team, but that's because that's what my focus is currently. It's where I've needed to invest a lot of time. I am the UI developer, and they've had me add UI elements, which means make design decisions. I learned a lot about accessibility. I learned a lot about localization and internationalization. And that's weird because you can abbreviate internationalization into 4 characters when you type it out, but if you try to shorten it, when you say it out loud, it's still just as hard to say. I-18N. And then it's just weird. No one says it. One of the negatives of our team, though, says Ham Ham, is that junior engineers don't thrive. We are all seniors with very extensive knowledge of the domain and the .NET stack. Coleslaw's here. Hello, Coleslaw. And I pretend to work here. So it's just the 4 of us right now. I would love to read your fantasy book. I will. So I haven't gotten very far on it. Like, my wife and I have been putting ideas together for the past 10, 15 years. Because it's based off of roleplay that we did in Lineage 2, the MMO. And so we started to just see our characters. Like, they aren't just characters, they are parts of us, and we saw that, and it's really cool. So it's like we have this story to tell that is very unique, just because it started in the world of Aiden and Elmore. It's still it's ours. It's just ours, and I think it's a cool story. I think it would be really cool to be able to share it, but we haven't really formalized anything. It's hundreds, I'm going to say hundreds of pages of ideas. And right now I started writing maybe about 4 months ago, the actual manuscript for the first book. And I'm about 5 chapters in now, and it's it is so rough. It's hard. It is really hard. But once we clean up maybe the first 2 chapters, I'll definitely post those, because I would like feedback eventually of, is this something you would read if you are a fantasy reader? Is this the type of book that you would read? Because then I would know I can keep going in this direction, or probably should change some things, or just quit trying to be a writer. President Not Sure said, there are capabilities, entitlements, permissions on Apple. It's all rather complex. AngularJS and Angular 2 Plus are way different. Yeah. And then Duso said to Ham Ham, what do you think is the cause of that? That being the negative, being that the junior engineer's not thriving. And Ham Ham says, in response, part of it is due to how fast we move, part also due to the way our product team functions. They give us half-baked features, which we are at least able to quickly fill in the gaps. They have gotten used to the speed, sadly. Yeah, same with our team. And the thing that get a little bit frustrated, not a little bit, I get a lot of frustrated by this, is my work ethic is do the best job that I can with what I have. So if that means a limited amount of time, I'm still going to do the best that I can with that limited amount of time. What tends to happen with our more senior devs is I'm getting tired of these short timelines. They're expecting Mount Vesuvius to be developed. I don't know. That was a terrible analogy. They're expecting a car to be built when we have just made the clay model. Something like that. So we're actually going to drag our feet instead of continue working at our pace. Like my thing is, I still would want to continue working at my pace. I don't want to be rushed, but I'm also not going to purposefully slow down just to teach them a lesson. And that's kind of the feel that I get from other team members. It's like, who's the one that's in charge here? I'm in charge. It's like, we still answer to them. I'm not going to bend over too far backwards, but I will stretch and I will do an amazing job at it. Ham said, absolutely AngularJS versus Angular 2 is totally different. Dicksoft said Angular go fish. Then Duso said Angular 2 is special. Very cool features, very steep curve. I'm still climbing that curve. Yeah, so I guess what I heard is true. And of course, the reason that I heard it was because I interviewed someone for an Angular position. Angular. Oh my gosh. Ooh. Ooh, thanks, Jeremiah. I will look at those. Unless this is jokey. Is this something I can show on stream? Funny. Okay. I've always felt the same. What? What? Ham said in response to Duso's comment about the steep curve, I've always felt that every time I finally understood RxJS, and then something comes along that destroys that understanding. Yeah, that kind of happens with C# on occasion too. But the thing that Mad said during that talk that I was talking about, yesterday's specifically, yesterday's, I'm pretty sure it's yesterday's, was that when they develop new features in C# or different ways to do things, they try to make sure that everything else stays, but that just means that it's an ever-growing technology, it's an ever-growing framework. And so it's the choice paradox. When we are presented with too many choices, we can't make a decision. But when we're presented with too few choices, we want more choices. So anyway, because Peter's not here, I have to say it. Anyway, Coleslaw said, I've sold over 50 paintings, EP art, album covers, comic book work, radio ads, character design, etc. Let's make a fantasy card game. Yes, please. Oh, yes, please. I mean, there are a lot out there, but like, have you heard of Legend of the Cryptids? I love the art on those cards. I love genuine people. I must work here one day. But Koso says, yes, I will read your story. You don't even know what it's about. And you're already saying yes. You don't even know my writing style. Oh man, I am way too verbose and do too much descriptive stuff and not enough dialogue, interpersonal relationships, and interactions. I'm doing better at it, but oh man. Mount Vesuvius. I like that analogy. They want Mount Vesuvius and we can only create a molehill. I don't know. It was supposed to be something like that. Anglerfish. Okay, here is a funny. Here's some great UX and UI. Yes, I remember this thing. I've seen this before. Oh my gosh, I love this. Enter your phone number. It starts with +1. Can I start with +1? Excuse me. How do I? Advanced mode. There we go. All right, that's better. Much easier to control. Oh my gosh, I love it. All right, I've never seen this one. Birthday selector. Oh my goodness. You can go to beginning of time or end of time. And then you go 1 month at a time, but you can only change the month. Advanced mode. Auto mode. Faster. Whoa. Oh my god. Not a number. No. Auto mode off. Go back down. Right. Auto mode on. No, we can't. We can't. We're not a number. Oh, we have a date of birth, or enter your information, and scientific date picker. Oh, I love these. Hello, Pokotokomi. Pokotokomi. Pokotokomu. Juni. Whoa. Pokotokomu. Juni. You like Pokotokomi already? I want to put 2 U's in there. Why do I want to put 2 U's in there? That's a lot of O's. Pokotokomu. 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 Wait, why does it only go back in time? Why can't we be born in the future? Dude, I was born in the future, okay? But no, I'm actually gonna put this in our production app. This is the best way to pick your date of birth. Except if you go too fast, it doesn't decrease the year. Oh, that sucks. Okay, I do have one bit of bad UI design. So this is my landing page. This is my placeholder page for automated realms. And this is all it does. It's just a placeholder page. We say, hi, we're still working on this page. Come back soon. But this page will have many features as I continue developing my actual automated realm site. For example, the portal. Right now the portal pulls in particles from the edge, from out of nowhere, to maybe generate a little bit of energy. And then one day, it's going to build enough energy to actually open a portal. Where to? Don't know yet. But you guys will be the first to know when I get my first portal open. But I'm working really hard on building that portal. Really slow, but really hard. All right, Diedrich says, I want to help out if someone wants to learn Angular. Busy creating my project in Angular 16. Angular 16. Do you have a repo, public repo that you want to share? Or anything? For any of you that are new here, this is what we normally work on during our Monday and Wednesday streams. Fridays are just days when I hang out with you guys and chat and ask you to bring up any topics that you want to talk about. If you have questions about your current projects that you are working on, we'd like to help out where we can. If you have cool stories about what you're doing, we love those. I'll drop my repo on GitHub in a bit later. Sounds good. But this project that we work on in the stream is a Blazor multi-platform project called the Financial Management Tracker. It is an app that will allow you to enter your financial transactions manually. It doesn't connect to any external sources, nothing like that. Right now it's not working because I stopped the app from running. But the reason that I decided to come up or to create this app during the stream is because I am currently doing this exact thing using Microsoft Access, and I have been since about 2013. And I was like, you know, I would really, really, really like it if this app was a modern app. But yeah. So what you can do is you can track any payment that you make, which is Microsoft Access. What? I wish I had an easy way to show you the app without showing you all of my actual finances. I made a screenshot of it and blocked some stuff out so you can see it, but essentially you buy something. For example, you pay for gas, you pay a bill, then you enter. This is where I need that scientific date picker. It's an app. Yeah. You don't know what Microsoft Access is? Like, for real? For real, for real? This is Microsoft Access. Oh, this is a terrible demo app. Anyway, this is Microsoft Access. You can create UI forms in here, essentially. I know. Gen Z privileges. But it also has its own database engine. And so all of these databases or database tables are Access database tables. But you can also, you can tell that these are linked to another either Access database or external database. This happens to be Access database as well. So this is how you kind of made a front-end, back-end version of your Access application. Your back-end would have all of the actual tables, and then your front-end would have links to those tables along with all of your UI, which are just forms that display data and maybe provide some level of interaction. I used to make like full-on like enterprise level applications using Microsoft Access. And the way that you do code is, at least back in the day, now you can use Power Query, whatever that stuff is called, but is with Visual Basic. Oh my gosh. I even did comment class diagrams or database diagrams. That's fun. So you use VBA, Visual Basic for Microsoft Applications. Yeah, I still have Access. I told you that I keep my finances in there. Chris Funk said I had a client who used Access as an event tracker. So yeah, typically what you would do after creating those two versions, your actual data version and then the one that has the linked tables with your UI in it, is you put the data version on a shared server somewhere, and then you send people the file itself, the ACCDB file, which used to be MDB file. And then they would use that. And then whenever you have an update, you tell them, go and get the latest one, copy and paste to their computer. I did my updates in a very fancy way. I had one table that was actually the version table. And whenever I had a new version, the very first thing that happens when the app opens is it does a version check, and then it says, I have a new version. And since it's all local to the computer and they have access to the network, because otherwise they wouldn't be able to get to these tables, it would copy the file from that network location, the new version from that network location, and then put it next to this file and say, I have an update. Would you like to switch? And then when it does, then it closes that one and opens the new one with the new name. And then when that one closes, it did a rename somehow. I don't remember how I renamed the file, but anyway, it was cool. Yeah, so that was the good thing about using the one copy that stays on the file server, the shared network location, is you could have multiple connections to the tables without opening that Access app. And so you didn't have deadlocks, file locks. You still had record collisions, but it wasn't very often because everyone was working on different files or different records. Anyway, this is Microsoft Access. Imagine this, what's it called? Figma. Imagine this UI in Access. Wait, where's the rest of this UI? So this is supposed to have the transaction date, pay to, memo, all of this stuff, essentially. This should all be over here too. But anyway, this UI in Microsoft Access with the transactions list underneath. Yeah, that's what I'm currently using. Fun times. Okay, so anyway, that's what this app is. Manually track your finances. 23. I paid to my local grocery store. It was like 125 monetary units because I don't have the actual monetary unit. Is about, I don't know, this much in sales tax, and then there were some fees for like the delivery, not the delivery, the surcharge on delivery, the bagging fee, the using Instacart. They just rack up the fees. And then a tip or tax of -1. You're going to pay me to deliver my groceries. That shouldn't be able to go. Well, yes, it should be able to go negative because I forgot. So let's say that was around, I don't know, 10 bucks. I mean, 10 monetary units. And then a discount because I always put my grocery order in the day before and pick a 3-hour window. So I get a $2 discount for my delivery. That's so much. I try to submit it and it's like, you need to put in the account value. And I paid from my credit charge and there. So you see the number update up here. If we were able to see this, we would have seen it show up down here. We can mark it as it actually went through today. And there. Now it's no longer pending and it is applied and all of that fun stuff. Okay. Chris says, I got a question. Is one of your features going to be importing Quicken transaction files? Yeah. I'm not trying to make this a full financial management system. It would be nice to see that, I guess, but I'm really being selfish and just making this for my purposes, which is to manually enter payments and deposits and transfers. Payments, of course, being money going from one of your tracked accounts to a non-tracked account or external source. Deposits, external source to one of your tracked accounts, transfers, tracked account to tracked account. But no, I didn't have any plans. I don't have any plans to have imports from Quicken. I don't think it would be too difficult depending on how exports work from Quicken. I was just thinking where you would be able to download your tax history from your financial institution. Yeah, so that would be fun. That would be cool to do. But for my purposes, I use other accounting software and I also use Mint. So I can see all of my accounts in one go and net worth and budgets and all that stuff. But what I want to do is manually enter in every single one of my transactions so I know when I'm spending, so I know when I'm getting money. Because if I'm aware of it, I'm making better choices for myself. And I thought, because we aren't able to do my regular day job work like I used to be able to do, this would be a pretty cool project to do. Because it's still Blazor, I'm still doing the same things that I would have done had this been a real for work type of job, type of project, such as in writing tests first and then implementing those tests, such as putting it in a repo and using some sort of Git flow. Branch strategy is what I said. And I'm doing one main trunk, and then any feature or bug fix or whatever is it in its own branch. And I will only ever commit to main using PRs. And then there's also a GitHub action for doing the builds, etc., etc. So Chris said, I was just thinking, oh, I already read that. How many times do I want to read it? Like 6, maybe? So Chris said, I was just thinking where you would be able to download your tax history from your financial institution. Oh, wait, not tax, transaction. TX means transaction, just like RX means prescription. Exactly the same word, phrasing. Why does that look like it still has water in it? Because it does. It's like Christmas. There was extra water in that bottle. I wonder who put it there, because I'm pretty sure I emptied it. Must have been a fairy. What else? What else is going on? So we have about 5 minutes left in our stream. Is there any topic, technology related? And thank you. Well, that's crazy. That is almost 2 years. Have I really been streaming that long? It doesn't feel like it. Holy cow. And thank you so much for the follow, Ham. Really appreciate you. I appreciate all of you being here for as long as you have, for hanging out. Oh, yeah. And I will tell you this now, because I've already seen our future. When we are getting ready to raid out, we will raid Solo Solipsist. And if you guys aren't into the mixed reality space, you're not interested in it, you obviously don't have to come along. But if you are, he currently has a HoloLens on his head, which I have right here, by the way, because that's another thing that I've been doing a lot of research on over the past week. Ooh, and thank you, Tedrick. You've been here for a long time. But thank you for the follow. You know that you are never obligated to do anything, ever. But yeah, so he's doing actual mixed reality development, cross-platform. So it's going to work on Quest 3. It's going to work on HoloLens. It's going to work on PC. Speaking of, there is one other thing, since no one has brought up anything else, that I thought was really cool. Have you ever heard of BYD Motors? It's Build Your Dream. I think it's a Chinese company. They have a website for their electric vehicle. But the coolest thing about this website is they are trying out this whole metaverse thing. So I don't like using the term. I think we should just drop it all together and say enriched web content for now. So what metaverse means to them is, let's give you a virtual walkthrough of a showroom so that you can experience the vehicle. And so this is in the web, in browser, and you can see that it's pretty much and and it is actually multi-user experience, which I didn't know. So anyway, you can use your arrow keys to move around like a 3D character, and it's like you're just doing game design at this point. But you can pick a vehicle, you can tour it, and then you can see the actual vehicle. The other thing is, if you're viewing this in an augmented reality or virtual reality device, you'll have a button down here to switch to the experience itself. Grand Theft BYD. So you click on that, and the car shows up in your space. Hello, Beatrix. Gilgamesh says, that's how I met my wife. I met my wife in Lineage 2. And then in person. Even though it was kind of in person. Still. Anyway. Would they show how it becomes a fireball, Han? Yes. How are you? I am doing fantastic. So I was just showing one thing that I'm like, this is what I would call crude implementation of it. I mean, it's just pretty much straightforward. You're in your VR or AR experience, and you have this thing in front of you. You can interact with these floating buttons on top of it to do things, roll down the windows, open the pipe, see the trunk, and then actually see the scale of it in front of you so you know what you're actually looking at. But the actual implementation of it is kind of rough. Actually moving through the vehicle is hard. When you use it in AR, it's positioned like who knows where. And when you're inside, there is this button to switch seats. And if you click that button in AR, it's like you can just walk over to that seat, but the app just freezes and crashes. It looks like it was done in Three.js. Let's find out. I think I've mentioned this before, but another library that I like for web 3D content is A-Frame. That was hard for me to think of. CAPTCHA. Don't know what this is. GTM.js. Google Tag Manager. You? In a country. Preloads. Here we go.
Microphone check. How we do?
Your microphone is checked.
Awesome. How we doing? How's the
You
show?
know, why would you do that, Deflux? Why would you do that?
Do what?
You know that I'm ending my stream in like 3 minutes.
Oh, fuck me. No, I do not. I'm so behind today. I literally just got a breather out of the shit I was doing. I was like, thank God, what's going on Twitch? And I saw you were live, and then I saw you in the... Actually, I saw you in the Discord folder. I was like, wait, I'm online's live. It's the live show. It's the community day. I want to be there. And then so I joined.
Nice. We're trying to figure out if this thing was done in Three.js, and I'm not seeing any evidence of Three.js anywhere, but they could be importing it in one of their own personal JS files, maybe. But yeah, anyway, may as well say hi. How you doing?
Thank you everybody for listening. It's been a great show. I just wanted to... I'm doing great. I'm doing awesome. We got things approved with the stuff I was stuck on, but no, been a productive-ish week. So good to see you.
Yeah, BYD does seem nice. I was looking for electric vehicles because last year I thought that by this time this year I would have an electric vehicle or want to buy an electric vehicle because, you know, range would be increased by now. Still not where I want it to, and the thing that really sucks is there wasn't a body style, and I know that that doesn't matter as much as does the car work, does it take you where you need to go, but there isn't a body style that I really liked. So I'm waiting 1 more year, and I'm planning, learning a lot about EVs.
I mean, you gotta get in there relatively. The only thing that makes sense to me is the 7,500 tax deduction, right, or the tax rebate, whatever it is.
Mm-hmm. which
but
not
that
all
will
cars
go
get,
away.
such as the Polestar 2 doesn't get the.
Nothing from Tesla gets any more. My understanding is.
They do.
Oh, is it? Okay. It used to be the first 200,000 vehicles that or was it 200,000 vehicles that a manufacturer sells. They might have changed it since. But yeah, as long as that sticks around, it makes it okay. So I think the cheapest okay, for me, it's like cars are depreciating asset anyway. You're smart. I was dumb. I overpaid for a car. You haven't. Last time I remembered years ago now, I guess. But you had that older car that you would drive across the
Right.
the.
Behind
If you
it.
still have that one, hold on to it, man.
Yeah.
I would buy the cheapest Tesla, and I would that's what I would do. Because their cheapest one makes sense. It literally is the same price as a gas car with all the benefits of being electric.
Right.
But the more expensive ones, it's like just go buy a secondhand certified car from a dealer and be done.
Right. Yeah. And I would look at that for sure. It's just I kind of want to wait until there's one that I actually like. This is the closest to the style that I like.
I guess what I'm saying is, once you find the car that you like, wait 2 years. So if you haven't found the car that you've liked yet, then it's going to be 2025 when you actually look at buying it.
Right.
Because it's going to be secondhand, used, certified from the dealer.
Yeah, and I definitely don't mind that idea, not one bit, especially with how reliable they have become. Just all of the research that I've been doing, it's really nice. Solid state batteries would be nice if they actually end up using less precious metals / non-renewable resources.
Yeah,
that kind of stuff.
Interesting one, yeah. But that or lease. You could always lease. If you like a car, like lease it for 6 months and see if you actually like electric cars. But you do have to do like the upfront, like installing the.
I don't know about leasing. I don't think I would ever lease. It just feels like a waste of money. It's like renting a house.
Well, yes, but that's how a 2-year car becomes affordable. And so rather than like I say, you're right. I found the car that I want. I really like it. I've got the money. I would say if it's brand new, lease it. I guess
yeah. But like you said, I'm most likely gonna go certified pre-owned.
Awesome. Yeah, and my neighbor has an electric car. I've driven a Tesla a couple times, and I really do like it. But the car I spent a little bit too much on the car that I currently have. I only got it because it was like a 0% interest, and I'm probably never going to see that again for going by the news. But if I could get an electric used car at 0% interest, a loan not more than 20,000, I would buy it tomorrow. But I've looked that much.
Yeah, interest rates are currently crazy.
Yeah.
Like over here, they're around 6.25%. It's insane.
But if you put enough money down, that's how you get that interest rate. The only reason I got the interest rate of 0% on my car loan is because the amount of money I put down. And so if you go in with like a bunch of cash, you can get it down to anything less than 4% is okay for a car loan in my mind.
Yeah, I agree. Absolutely agree. So Tyndall is split on his Polestar. On the one hand, I'm throwing away money. On the other, I got the 2023 model, and that had 400 kilometer range, which is what, 230-ish mile range? I don't know. I can't do kilometers to miles in my head. The 2024 has 600 kilometer, and the 2023 instantly lost a ton in resale. So I watched a video of someone that was talking about just that, where they bought a certified pre-owned Polestar. It was a rental, and they got it for $30K US dollars, which is 40K cheaper than what it would have cost new, something like that. But anyway, yeah, so enough talk about cars.
I like talking about cars. But
yeah,
I will say,
I'm just really interested. I think I found out the reason that I am interested about these electric vehicles is because it feels like I'm buying a new piece of technology as opposed to a car.
I guess that's part of that. But you were mentioning earlier about the cars right now didn't have enough range, and they're talking about range in chat. I don't get the range thing. Like, very rarely, well, not very rarely, I guess. If I had an electric car, I wouldn't go on a cross the country trip in it.
Right.
I would go from and to work in it.
Yeah, and my
the
usage
range
would
is
be it
irrelevant.
sits at home for every day except Taco Day, which I would go 5 miles round trip. And then on the times when my parents want us to visit, that's a 500-mile road trip. So that's why
Yeah, I
range
mean,
matters to me.
I guess 500 miles is right at that point. I would say anything more than like 800 miles, I'd fly. But I guess 500 is just below that.
I
But
don't like
still, like,
flying.
how long is the drive?
6 hours.
6. Yeah. So even the idea of like driving for 6 hours straight. I used to drive from Philly to Ohio. That was a 6 hour drive as well. That's how I totaled my other car on the highway because it was so boring. You're like, well, 115, your car can do that. I didn't crash that fast. I crashed like 60 miles an hour, but needlessly to say, it was very wet, and that's what caused the crash. But anyway, didn't hurt anybody. This is important. But anyway, what was I saying? Oh yes, I don't think I was like I did that because I had to, but really, it's like flying is better because you could just, I guess if it's self-driving, maybe I'd do it.
I
But
mean, the whole point of getting an electric vehicle is to reduce carbon emissions, and flying is not better.
no, it's not. No, that's the bullshit coming into the stream right there. You just said the reason why you want an electric vehicle is because it's new tech. Nobody. I love like this is like the equivalency to like the Second Amendment agreement reason they say.
Wait,
well, I want to
you
protect my
called
family.
bullshit on me, but I'm telling you the truth. My main reason for wanting an EV is to reduce my carbon footprint.
Yeah, my why? You have to. The stream is ending soon. You have to go, but I would tear into you if you let me.
Yeah. Like the point that I made earlier about the reason that I feel excited about this topic is because it feels like I'm buying a computer. I'm buying technology, not
Yes,
buying a car. That's why I'm
reason.
excited about it. But the reason that I wanted to get an EV in the first place was because I want to reduce. And also have renewable, like I have solar panels. And then if I add maybe a few more solar panels, I could probably have and add a battery. I could probably have enough to charge my car overnight for the small use that I have on it and be completely non-dependent on grid power.
Well, so I do think that the non-dependent on grid power is a really cool argument. I do not accept that anything with the footprint thing. I'm not a feet person. I don't think you are either.
Feet? Like walk?
Carbon footprint.
Oh.
No, I don't buy it. I don't buy that argument at all. I don't think electric
Okay.
cars are doing anything for the environment. I don't think solar panels do anything.
Yeah,
for
I
the
don't know enough
environment.
about it. That's why I'm trying to learn more.
But I don't want to come on here and tear into you and like make you stay late on the stream just because I showed up and tear into you.
Just wait until next week. If you remember, if you're here, you're more than welcome to then. We can have that discussion.
Absolutely. I'll happily tear into you. I mean, I just can't help myself sometimes.
You don't say. But anyway, that is going to be it for our stream, though. Last words?
I really, really, really thought about streaming yesterday, and then I didn't, as what I usually do. But I'm close to maybe doing a Terraform stream. So shout out to my potential plans to do a Terraform learning stream at some point.
Yes, please.
Maybe.
We'll keep our eye
But other than
out.
that, thank you so much for doing your weekly stream. I really do appreciate it. It is the highlight of the day sometimes when I'm having a bad day. So appreciate you.
Awesome. Well, I'm glad to hear that. Not that you're having a bad day.
Right.
Right.
Ta-ra. I'll disconnect.
Cool. All right, and thank you all for being here. It's been a fun community day stream. Lots of fun talking with you guys in chat. As I mentioned, we're going to raid out to Solipsist. I always pronounce it wrong. It looks like it should be pronounced Solipsist. But I guess the word is pronounced Solipsist. So we're going to head over to him as per usual on Fridays. It's kind of nice. It's easy for me because on Mondays, Dragon Spirit who is a friend of our stream. He streams, so we can read out to him. And on Fridays, Solo Solipsis streams, and we can read. So anyway, I don't think it worked. Invalid username. Solar Solipsist. Because I made him plural. Anyway, ready to started. I will be back again on Monday for our regular scheduled stream. I hope you guys have a great and fantastic weekend. I will see you whenever you feel like coming back around. Oh yeah, and as Dukasoft posted, I will be putting this video up on YouTube no sooner than 24 hours after I end the stream. Our raid message is, "The lion is not from a zoo." Rawr. I like it though. Yeah, and of course, feel free to join us on Discord if you want. If you aren't part of too many Discord channels already, ours is relatively quiet, but we have a lot of really cool people there. When we do have conversations, they are pretty good conversations and thoughtful. And also, what do you call a guy lying on your doorstep? Matt, what do you call a guy with no arms and no legs in your pool? Bob. Okay, anyway, that's it for me. Enjoy. Ciao for now.